Individual identity.
Hey sir, I am Jhian Hermosisima, and my topic is individual identity or personal identity. So personal identity is a concept you develop about yourself that evolves over the course of your life. So this may include the aspects of your life that you have no control over, like where you grow up or the color of your skin, and as well as you make choices in life, such as how you spend your time and what you believe. And personal identity, so your personal identity defines who you are, no? Because it's your personal identity, your para mailhan ka ang mag-ilhanan nimo personal identity. It is a sense of yourself as a unique individual. And the term personal identity means different things to different people. Like lahi tawag identity ba? Sa lain nga mga butang or towards sa lain nga mga tao. Lain mo tag mga identity sa atong ruling kung may uban may nga nga butang sa ilang self nga na ato wala nga ba. There are some important parts of our identity. One is gender. Siyempre gender, if you are a boy or a girl, no? The next one is the race or imong so tawag like Asian baka, or black people, white people, no? Race. And religion, religion like identity religion mga Katoliko ko niya siya ay Muslim or sa ba. And there are some aspects sa mga personal identity. One is your likes and dislikes, no? Namigitay tagsa nga ganahan or di ganahan sa atong kaugalingon. Next is your talents and abilities, no? Kanang ma-recognize ka ba kasi mo identity tungod di maayo ka nga butang na kay ability, na kay talent, and your goals, no? Nga ma-professional ka, ma-identify ka mo, may nagyan po ng identity ba, na ingana ka pagkatao, or na kay profession, lawyer, doctor, or saba. The last one is importance of identity. So the identity is very important because we all have different identities and personalities, and it is not just who someone is, but it is a process that a person must be active in. It is about understanding yourself so you can become yourself, no? Our identity is based on who we are, no? Sa karon, who we have been sa atong past, o who we think we will become. Unsa ta pag sa future, unsa itong sa future. Each person has a unique identity that nobody else has, which makes them stand out as an individuals, no? So again, each matag-usa na to natay mga unique nga identity, lahi magyud mga identity, no? Para as an individual. So that is all, sir. That's my topic about individual identities.
Social identity online.
The Social Identity Theory by Henry Tyfel and John Turner, 1979. What is social identity? Social identity is a conceptualization recognizing that the way we perceive others and ourselves on both our unique characteristic and our membership in various groups. Generally, individuals wish to maintain a positive social identity by maintaining their group's favorable social understanding over the relevant outgroups. So, there are two identity. First, personal identity and social identity. Personal identity. What is personal identity? It's about person characteristic and your sense of yourself of a unique individual, like personality. Second, social identity. It's a group which they belong to, such as citizen in other country, particular student in university. There are three mental processes involved in social identity theory. There are three: social categorization, social identification, social compassion. First, what is social categorization? It's the process of classifying people into groups based on similar characteristics. Generally result in an emphasis on the similarities of people in the same group and the difference between people in a separate one group. Second, social identification. There are two in a social categorization, which are in-group and out-group. So, what is in-group? In-group is a group of people with common interest or identity. Out-group is those people who do not belong to a specific group. What is two in social categorization? In-group and out-group. Second, social identification. Social identification, accepting a self, descriptive and qualities attribute to one's group. With a group of leaders, individuals to behave in the way that they believe members of that group should behave. Third, social compassion. Social compassion is evaluate our own self or our own group by comparing with others. He may see himself as being a lower social standing in comparison to a famous classically trained Shakespearean actor.
The importance of individual identity.
Good day, sir. I am Ybanez, and my topic is all about the importance of individual identity. Individual identity is an innate and visible to other people that we interact. On the other hand, it's called our actual self. Individual identity is important because it can strengthen our character. It keeps us unique and distinguishes us from everyone else. It can make us comfortable, and also it helps us to more aware of immediate environment and our place in it. Simply put, we can define identity as the naturally occurring qualities that makes us who we are as individuals, like questioning, who am I? How do I feel this issue? And how will this affect me? These are good places to start when attempting to establish individual identity. With that said, the process of developing individual identity is far more complicated than that. It is a gradual process that takes effort and time. So, we work at it relentlessly until we are able to develop it. And when we finally develop it, confidence swells in our bosom and we finally begin to come into our own. You may now ask, what happens when we lost our individual identity? Or when we fail to maintain it? Well, in one word, catastrophe. When we lost our individual identity, a series of debacles always tends to follow. Our decision-making ability becomes hindered, and we struggle to maintain healthy relationships. These are the four main reasons why individual identity is important. Firstly, maintaining individual identity is important because it strengthens our character. That is, when we know who we are and we have confidence in ourselves and we are able to identify our strengths and we emerge as stronger individuals. Secondly, it keeps us unique and distinguishes us from everyone else. It's because God created each of us differently for a reason. We should embrace ourselves of who we are and we should love ourselves. Thirdly, maintaining our individual identity keeps us comfortable. The sooner we embrace ourselves of insecurities and become comfortable with who we are, and believe me, you cannot put a price on being comfortable with your own risk. Lastly, we become more aware of our immediate environment and our place in it. It's because we are all here for a purpose, and recognizing our individual identity equips us with what we need to live out that purpose. With that said, I entreat that we should maintain our self-identity and we should remain true to ourselves always.
The importance of social identity.
So my topic is importance of social identity online. But first, let us recap on what is social identity. So every people has a social identity, which is how we perceive our various roles in society in relation to others. Whether it is through social position, culture, or ethnicity, interests, achievements, or beliefs, people derive a sense of pride, self-worth, and consistency from their social identities. So when social identity is rapidly changed, threatened, or questioned, a child may become vulnerable to depression. So, in order to have a social identity, we need the people around us to confirm or deny. The people around us also influence our social identities and the way we feel about ourselves. If a person is very shy and withdrawn, it is likely that other people will pick up on that person's social cues and leave them alone, thus confirming the person's social identity as shy and withdrawn. In turn, the person may lack satisfaction in their social role, feel lonely, or become frustrated trying to break free from that identity. So why is that social identity is important, or why is that social identity matters? So, social identity allows people to be part of groups and gain a sense of belonging in their social world. These identities play an important role in shaping self-image. So, the more people identify with a particular group, the more that group plays a role in shaping how people feel about themselves. Being a member of that group becomes important for how a person regards themselves and their abilities. So, gaining status within the group can help people feel more confident, satisfied, and respected. So when people are depressed, they tend to experience social withdrawal. Studies have found that social factors can also be important causes of depression. For example, research has shown that periods of loneliness are predictive of the onset of depression. So, social identification is important because it influences how people see themselves and how they interact with others. If people have a positive view of their identity within a group, they are more likely to relate well to others in that group and feel positive emotions about themselves. So, researchers suggest that other important benefits of social identity include it helps foster prosocial actions like caring for others, receiving social support. It helps satisfy the psychological need for esteem from others, and it provides people a sense of belongingness within a social group. So everyone is different, but not all people who experience changes or threats to their social identities will experience depression. Instead, it is thought that those who identify with a limited number of social roles are more at risk of developing depression when a role is lost or threatened. So, for example, a person who only see themselves as a star soccer player may experience discomfort and a sense of loss if they suddenly become injured and is unable to play soccer anymore. So the person may lose their status as a star athlete, spend less time with their teammates and friends, and ultimately may see a decrease in their self-esteem, which opens the door for depression. So it's also the same on the social identities online. For example, a person that is very into online games, so all he wants was to play with his friends or on his clan, then enjoy and become the best. But eventually, he became weakened, but because not all the time he is good in playing. So in that situation, it is possible that his clan or in that particular game will also ignore him, for that they also want to have a great team. So they may recruit another member and may kick him out from that clan, and it is very possible for him to undergo depression. So this is not to say that a person cannot develop a new social identity, but it simply highlights the importance of how a person views themselves in relation to the world around them.
The differences between real identity and social identity online.
So, good day guys. My name is Lourence Maranan, and today I will discuss about the differences between real identity and social identity online. So, let's start. So first, let us discuss an overview of identity or your real identity. So, let us read. In 1993, when nobody knew if you were a dog, internet users felt shielded behind an electronic veil of anonymity, or you being anonymous, able to take on any persona they pleased. Since then, web-based businesses from Amazon to Zappos have adopted technologies that build profiles of customers, offer product recommendations, and keep personal histories that can go back more than a decade. While some internet users appreciate the convenience those digital identities afford. Others worry about how of their personal information is being stored and how information is being shared. So, this report intended to help explain the various differences of different identities and profiles that represent you online. So, I will also explain how this is different from your real identity. So, what is your identity and what is your identity on the internet? So, identity has many definitions, but without getting too metaphysical, we can sum it up into few words. You are who you are and what you do. Simply put, your identity is the sum of your characteristics, including your birthplace and birthday, the schools you attended, your shoe size, and many more. And some of those characteristics never change, such as your birthday, and some changes over time, such as your hair color and also your behavior. Similarly, when you're using the internet, your online identity is the sum of characteristics and interactions, because you interact differently with each website you visit. So for example, you visit Facebook, you have a different identity there. Or you visit Instagram, you also have a different identity there. So each of those websites will have a different picture of who you are and what you do. Sometimes the different representations of who you are referred to as partial identities. So let us remember the term partial identities, because none of them has the full true picture of who you are. Your online identity is not the same as your real world identity, because the characteristics you present online differ from the characteristics you present in the physical world. Every website you interact with has its own idea of identity, because each one of you sees you and your characteristics differently. For example, Amazon has established a partial identity for you based on the products you buy. So partial identity, remember the word. So when you visit Amazon, it will base on like a program that will direct you to the product you buy, whether it's you at the keyboard or someone else using your account. Yahoo Finances established a partial identity for you based on the stocks you're following, whether you own the stocks or not. Neither one of you has your full identity, even if they were put together, even if your partial identities are put together. So the result is that you have one true identity and many partial identities. Some of the information associated with a partial identity is under your control. Other information may be out of your control or even completely invisible to you, regardless of what you can and cannot control. They all contribute to who you are and what you do. So, I will discuss another term, which is the identifier. So what is an identifier, and how is that different from my identity? So an identifier is a way of referring to a collection of a person's characteristics, or what you have described here as partial identity. For example, if you had an Apple Mobile Me account, your identifier at Mobile Me may be something like Lourence Christopher at me.com. Or most websites, including search engines, prefer to have sign up or register so they can maintain information about your identity, such as a profile, store your profile information, and more. So in some cases, the identifier may be visible to you. For example, if you use Microsoft Bing to search from something on the internet, Bing will assign you an identifier and store it on the web browser as a cookie. So a cookie means that it will collect some data, like the history that you search online. So what is identity? This is an overview. So every time you use Bing, the cookie that being stored in your web browser acts as an identifier that links together all of your characteristics into Bing's idea of your identity. So all of your characteristics are sum up into one to create similar results when you search in the internet. So if you use Bing from both of your laptop and your smartphone, you may even have more than one identifier, each representing you to Bing, even though they may they may be completely disconnected from each other. So, here is a diagram of your identity, or the facts about you and your actions, and all the partial identities that you have. So this may be a Facebook persona, anonymous persona or self-created, behavior profile created by observation, medical profile created by providers, and employee profile created by employer. So the identifier that service like Bing or MobileMe has assigned to you does not actually refer to you as a person. So it's simply a way of pointing to or tagging a set of characteristics that have been collected a profile from you. So example, if you're using Bing and you have a search for appliances and other stuff, home stuff, and in MobileMe you have search for sports materials like soccer balls, basketball. Those that you have searched will be put together as one, and it will make that serves as one persona that you have online. So when you provide personal information such as your name, age, and hometown to a website operator, you are creating your own partial identity, which is called a persona. So that's what I said. Later on, show a table that summarizes some of the terminology used in describing identity and identifiers. So the term, explanation, example. So let's explain this. So identity, the explanation is the complete set of characteristics that define you. Example, name, nicknames, birth date, and any other unique characteristic that combine that makes who you are. So identity is the real identity, not the online identity. So identifier, a way of referring to a set of characteristics. So your email address or username or an account number. So this is based online. So partial identity, a subset of the characteristics that make up your identity. An example of this is demographic information about you, or any purchase history is stored in your account at a website. So that is a partial identity. So profile, information collected by others about your actions and characteristics. A search you conducted, example of this is a search you conducted for discount shoes or any list of websites visited. So persona is a partial identity created by you to represent yourself in a specific situation. So example is a social network account or your online blog. So like Facebook, that's a persona you. So why are websites assigning identifiers to me and building profiles about me? So you probably have figured out why various websites are asking you to create an account with a unique identifier. They need a way to maintain information about you so they can provide with a personalized experience. Beyond the information you explicitly provide, you may be wondering why those websites are also building profiles based on what you search for, the links you click on, your location, and so on. So if you have an example of this, if you have used the app PixArt, so before you open the app, after you open the app and have downloaded it, it will automatically give you many choices of your likes, and you have many choices to pick. So this means that it will sum all the likes you have. So PixArt can show you things that are based on your preferences. So one of the reasons that online companies and organizations want to build a more extensive profile about you is security. Websites that are engaging in commerce, such as your bank, have serious concerns about online fraud. By providing your interactions with them and then noticing changes in your behavior, they can act more intelligently to protect your interests and theirs. So I have also experienced this when creating a bank account. They will need you to send a verified birth certificate or a verified ID so that they can create your account. So the purpose of this is security, so that no other person can access your account, or this is to verify that this is really you who created the account. So another reason for creating a profile about you is referred to as behavioral targeting, a fancy buzzword that means a company can make money by selling ads aimed specifically at you. This type of advertising surrounds a significant amount of information that is available on the internet. Without the revenue provided by advertising, many of the most popular websites would cease to exist. In fact, most of the free content on the internet is available due in part of paid advertising. So, in the real world or the physical world, not every advertising placement has the same value. A billboard downtown may cost a lot more than one on a lonely highway in the countryside. So similarly, the more relevant advertisement is targeted to an audience, the more value it has to an advertiser. The same is true on the internet. An ad for baby clothes that is visible to someone who has just been shopping for baby clothes has a lot more value than the same ad being shown to a biologist looking for information about leaf shapes. The more a website operator knows about you, where you've been and what you have been doing, the better able they are to control the types of advertisement you see, which is what earns them the highest revenue. So for me, this is somewhat alarming, since accounts on the internet that you have made can be monitored by website operators, so they may earn from the advertisement that they have prompted to you. So the information in this paper should help you understand how your partial identities and identifiers are linked together, and how you present yourself to various websites you use. Leveraging different personas and different identifiers will give you more control over how your identity is stored and shared on the internet. So that would be all, and that will be all for my report, and I hope you understand well the differences of your real identity and your identity online. So that's all. Thank you.
The examples of individual identity and social identity online.
Hey, good day everyone. I am Allan Borgonia, and the task that assigned to me and I will discuss is what are the examples of social identity online and individual identity. So, first let's discuss about what are the examples of social identity online. Social identity online examples. An online identity can be anything from a social media profile or a forum account to a video game character or even a shopping cart. Basically, it can either be a social identity associated with an online community, or just a simple account or data that's associated with online services. Internet identity, also online identity or internet persona, is a social identity that an internet user establishes in an online communities and websites. It can also be considered as an actively constructed presentation of oneself. For example, FB account, Twitter, Instagram, anything that social media. Number 2, and the last is, what are examples of individual identity? Examples of individual identity. Some aspects of our personal identity include our skin or skin color, the religion, ethnicity, culture, tradition, beliefs, superstitious beliefs like that. A lot of the time, our race and ethnicity play a significant role in how we see ourselves, especially if we feel we are different from the majority of those who live in the same community. And the example of this that I told you a while ago is our skin color, religion, ethnicity, culture, tradition, beliefs, anything that are individual identity. And that's all. Thank you.
How individual identity is determined and how social identity online is determined.
Everyone, my topic for today is how to determine individual identity and social identity. Now, our individual identity is determined by what others think of us. Our identity is comprised of inner qualities and outer representation of self. It consists of innumerable defining characteristics that make up the whole of who we are in a given moment. These fragments of self include sexuality, gender, and sense of belonging to particular culture, nation, region, family, or some of the group. Our identity includes our looks, personality, beliefs, and fears. Each individual and social assigns themselves as particular role, whether it is be as a mother, brother, retiree, performer, sportsman, or as a part of occupation, a doctor or a lawyer. Today, more than ever, we are being increasingly conditioned, influenced, and bombarded by a multiple of message and experience about who to be and how to be. Current forms of social communication process particular mainstream media, advertising, television, and film. Along with family, friends, teachers, political agendas, religion, society's role, our perception, perceptives, interpretation, and assumption, and those of others all play part in creating our identity. We seek and create our identity through those external influences. We all wear these masks and glow so that we fit with this world around us. The degree to which we chose our identity versus having it imposed on us via external influence is arguably a matter of consciousness and awareness. When we are unaware of the power of external influence, we are akin to pieces of clay, being unconsciously molded to fit into accepted, preferred norms of someone else's reality. When we are aware, we can take responsibility for creating of our identity. We can make empowered choices that best serves ourselves rather than selves, people, and system. Social identity. Social identity aims to specify and predict the circumstances under which individuals think of themselves as individual or as a group member. The theory also considers the consequences of personal and social identity for individual perception and group behavior. Social identity theory was developed to explain how individuals create and define their place in society. According to the theory, 3 psychological processes are centered in that regard: social categorization, social comparison, and social identification. According to social identity theory, Social behavior is determined by a character and motivates of the person as an individual, as well as by the person group member, like intergroup behavior. People generally prefers to maintain a positive image of the group of which they belong. As a result of a social identity processes, people are inclined to seek out positively valued traits, attitudes, and behaviors that can be a characteristic of their in-groups. That inclination may also cause them to focus on less favorable characteristics of out-group, or to downplay the importance of positive out-group characteristics. The tendency of favor one's in-group over a relevant out-group can affect the distribution of material resources or outcome between in-group and out-group members. The evaluation of in-group versus out-group products, assessment of in-group versus out-group performance and achievement, and communication about the behavior of in-group versus out-group members.
How does social identity online affect each individual's real identity?
Good day, everyone. My name is CeeJay Bonggot, and I will discuss all about how the social identity online affects each individual's in real identity. So, identity has many definitions, but without getting too metaphysical, we can sum it up in a few words. You are who you are and what you do. Simply, but your identity is the sum of your characteristics, including your birthplace and birthday, the schools you attended, your shoe size, and so on. Some of those characteristics never change, such as your birthday, and some change over time, such as your hair color. Similarly, when you are using the internet, your online identity is the sum of your characteristics and interactions, because you interact differently with each website you visit. Each of those websites will have different picture of who you are and what you do. Sometimes the different representations of you are referred to as partial identities, because none of them has the full and true picture of who you are. Your online identity is not the same of your real-world identity, because the characteristics you represent online differ from the characteristics you present in the physical world. Every website you interact with has its own idea of identity, because each one of you sees you and your characteristics differently. For the keyboard or someone else using your account, for example, Amazon has established a partial identity for you based on the products you buy, whatever it's you at the keyboard or someone else using your account. Yahoo Finance has established a partial identity for you based on the stocks you're following, whether you are actually own those stocks or not. Neither one of has your full identity, even if they were put together your partial identities. The result is that you have one true identity and many partial identities. Some of the information associated with a partial identity is under your control. Other information may be out of your control or even completely invisible
usable to you, regardless of what you can and cannot control. They all contribute to who you are and what you do. That's all.